Camp's bee observation shed, and the bees that we got at the bee farm, they spent the night in the shed. We were hoping for a little better weather to be able to install them in the hives. It's now about midday, 1 o'clock. Hope the sun comes out a little bit, but ready or not, they're going to be installed in the hive, and I'll be showing you that in just a minute. Basically just doing a few preparatory things. I had the hives tilted a little more further forward than ordinarily during the winter time in hopes of preventing the condensation. Maybe make a home here. Yeah. But anyways, we'll take the empty cover aside here. Let me clean this up just a little bit. I got it. There we go. Take off some of the propolis and the wax from the previous inhabitants. So that's a fairly clean. Now this is basically remnants of the old hive. The advantage to using I got one new frame here, but I've also given them a lot of the frame that the bees built out. This is the original artificial foundation, so to speak. As you can see here, they built out the comb. This will save them a lot of work, a lot of energy that they can devote to making honey. Got a little propolis, some got a little bit of pollen in there. These are all left over from the other bees, and that's all just all dried pollen in there. And the bees will come in here and actually clean up everything. And whatever they don't like, they'll clean up and they'll restart and do some housekeeping. With spraying the bees with some sugar water. Sugar water does a couple things. They like it. It kind of weighs them down. Gives them something to do. They all start licking each other. And also, it makes it a little more difficult for them to fly because they're all kind of sticky and a little heavier. And for the most part, just want to get things started that way there. The bees have a natural tendency to cluster, and they cluster towards the top, and they're all clung on to each other. But obviously when I open up this thing and take out the can of sugar water in here, they'll all fly out and start trying to walk out and everything else. So it might seem a little abrupt, but this is what you do. And apparently bees are a little tougher than you think. You're basically just going to take and you wrap them down. Let me give them a little more. Okay, so now what you see here, and this is always the toughest part, is to be able to get the sugar water out. And, if you got gloves, it's pretty much next to impossible. Now I'm going to take the queen out. I got to remember not to put my hive tubes out of the way. And let's see. You see the queen? Yeah, there's the queen right there. She's got the big abdomen. She's on top. So now that we take off the metal, that's closing in the. I want to be careful because if by chance that candy isn't there, the queen could fly away. So there we have the little candy plug, and you can see this little screen here is actually filled up quite a bit with candy. The bees on the inside will eat their way out. The bees that are going to be inside, and there'll be lots of them, will eat their way in. In the meantime, they'll keep feeding the bees. So these are little tender bees, and they will feed the queen through the wire cage. Candy side up, if I remember correctly. Cage side out so the bees can tend to her and feed the queen. You got to remember the queen can't even feed itself. That's how special she is. She has to be fed. So now you've got the queen in there, and you've got this is going to be set. So eventually, and the reason why you have the candy side up is if one of the worker bees in there happen to die, sometimes they do, they'd fall down and they could inhibit the access or the exit of the queen. So in case they die, they fall to the bottom. That's the sugar candy there, and they'll eat and release this queen over a series of days. Now so I'm going to one more little bit here.
Yeah, honeybee got at me.
One more, like this here. Give them another wrap. Whoops. Take them and basically pour them in. Again, it all sounds pretty bizarre. That's what you do. Move all in there. If you try to make a little room in here, literally, you can move them aside. Or you can use your bee tool. Be gentle, they're all kind of a little sticky. I want to be gentle because I don't want them to get squished when I put the frames down either. So they're already starting to walk around and climb up the frames. So then we can introduce the rest of these frames here. And right like that. Queen's in. The bees are in. And this is the, you can actually do this a couple different ways, including if I can block off the hole, and I also put this whole side down. And I'll put some tape on that. If I do that, I could have put the pollen patty, but I don't think they're going to need the pollen patty. The goal is how much access to the hive. A new hive, you want to give them as least as possible, because you don't want robber bees coming in and attacking the weak hive. So in this case, I put it on the smallest size possible, right there. In fact, I'll come back a little later and I'll put some grass in there and close it up, but I want to let some of these stray bees find their way back in there. Here, again, they can defend it when they're growing hive. In case they get robber bees, they can actually defend any intruders. And then when it's things in the middle of summertime, you remove it completely. Or in this case, if you want to block it off, there's also the option of putting it in a piece of grass in there and blocking it completely. Okay, so we're almost done. The feeding pail, and we feed our bees mostly in the spring, especially new bees, until they can get an ample amount of food and things begin to bloom. They really would starve without supplementing their food. And we got basically sugar water, 1 to 1. 1 pound of sugar, 1 pound of water, and this is filled up to about here. There's a little screen on there. We invert it, and once the vacuum has been established, the bees literally come up in a little hole in the top cover, and they lick all the sugar water off here, and that's how they basically survive the first month or so. I'm going to do this over the cup because I'm trying to minimize getting too much sugar around here between the spraying and the cans. You can't help it. We don't want to bring too loud of a dinner bell to some of the other bees in the area. The other bees in the areas are probably hungry too. Not a lot of flowers going on this time of year, and they're probably looking for sources of food work better than a brand new hive sugar water. Okay, so this is just to cover the pail. Put this on top. That bricks. Wind blowing. I'm actually going to take the piece of tape, cover up that hole in the back, and if you remember, I'm going to take some grass, and I'm going to
close the entrance.
come back tonight. I'll check on them. Hopefully the bees that are left over in the cages will have left and moved on, and I'll remove the cages, and I'll stick some grass or close up those holes, give them 24 hours of getting used to the new home.